life today.
It's an extraordinarily powerful film. What do you want people to do with it, you know, when they watch it?
I want them to understand that there are millions of children like Kanya who are born with HIV that don't have access to medication, that don't have access to treatment, that don't have access to good nutrition or a future. And I'd like that to be different.
The journalist in me immediately sort of has questions for you, questions about the complexity of the HIV/AIDS story in South Africa, the difficulty maybe of being a famous white woman going to a country where one can argue, and people have, that over years the South African ANC-led government has failed to pursue the most sensible, effective strategies to fight HIV/AIDS. Do you feel that you can enter that debate as a white woman? Can you make noise about what you might see as the failings of a black government?
Absolutely. I don't see why the colour of my skin should make any difference whatsoever.
But it might to some South Africans.
Yes, it might, absolutely, but that doesn't stop me. And in fact, my gender is colourless as far as I'm concerned. And women of my, people of my gender don't necessarily have a voice. And I have a voice, and I want to use it.
And I suppose the other thing that we've gotten used to is the degree to which, there are famous people who, and I'm going to sound cynical now, but some of whom helicopter in, they make the right noises, and they garner some publicity. And, one shouldn't doubt that their heart's in the right place, but, the commitment perhaps isn't particularly deep or long term. Are you different?
Yes.
And where does this go next for you?
When I took part in the Make Poverty History campaign back in 2005, what I understood was, if you're going to stand there and spout off about this issue, you better be committed and be there for the long term, because I don't actually believe that in the long term poverty will ever be made history. But what you can do is contribute. I've done many things in my life, and I've had all the benefits of the education system here and the national health, and I've come from very little to having so much, as well as the platform that I have, and I intend to use it. That's what I'm doing. I'm committed to it. And I understand your question about celebrity, and I completely share it. I'm also very cynical about those who helicopter in. Of course. But you know what the double cynicism is? That the media will not come to an event for an NGO, let's say, unless they've got the celeb. And I find that really ironic. It's pathetic.
And you say you do it your own way, and you do it from the heart, and goodness knows I don't doubt that for a second, but you can't isolate yourself from the politics around you.
That's right.
And whether it be in South Africa, your decision to suggest that Pope Benedict XVI is wrong to send a message to people which says that still condoms are wrong, or whether it's in another different context where you chose to join a humanitarian rally in support of the people of Gaza, a different situation, but one that is politically highly charged and led to you receiving an awful lot of criticism. I mean, these are decisions you take which have a political element.
Of course. I'm not naive enough to think that they don't. I know that it's contextual. But
it's a very delicate line then,
it's a very delicate line.
Because you don't want to be political, you want to stress the humanitarian, and yet, you raise political issues for many people in saying what you say. That's
right, absolutely. Going on the march in January of the year before.
This is the Gaza march,
This is the march, yes. Knowing that there were over 1 million people in that contained space, knowing that they were just about to be pounded from the air, from the land and from sea, and knowing that half of those people were children and young people and women, or mothers of children, I didn't think that that was a particularly helpful long-term solution to peace,
and
finding
yet,
peace.
And yet, you know, you got condemned in sections of the Israeli press. There were blog sites and there were message boards that were furious
yes, that said
with
I was
you. And I mean, just to quote one, just to give
yes.
you a flavour of the response that some Israelis had to what you said. You know, how dare she, said one. I have spent months running to a shelter with my family thanks to Hamas's rockets, and she criticizes my military from the safety of central London.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, I mean, you make a statement and it will be taken and interpreted, and when you have people who are in both sides, of course, and I always qualified it by saying those rockets should not have gone into Sardot, and that people who are affected by a suicide bomber on a regular basis are not going to love the people behind that. So it's an extremely complicated, polarized situation. I made my contribution just to say, woo, this is not the way forward for lasting peace.
And a final thought on the music. You want to keep doing new stuff, different things. Where's it going to take you next, do you think?
Ooh, it's taking me... I'm doing some recording now that is really beautiful. And you see, I'm out of contract, so I'm really, really free. And that's really nice. And I have a website, and I love that. I do lots of blogging. And so I sort of step out sometimes from behind my singing voice into my speaking voice so that people actually know there was a brain in there, and there are words that do come out and they're fairly comprehensible. And at times, depends on what time of the day and how many glasses of red wine, but there you go. I'm very driven by women's rights. You know, I feel that I've been given so much and I need to give back. I need to engage. I want to get off the sofa. I want to get off of apathy, and I want to, you know, roll my sleeves up and do something, which is what I'm doing now, and combining my artistry. And I've got a lot of plates spinning, and that's basically the way of my life. And I feel quite fulfilled doing that.
Annie Lennox, thank you so much for being on Hard Talk.